Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't wanna miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats, you know that we gotta run it back. Whether on the field or the court, you know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Wire Sports Media. Your Saturday vibe, you know what it is. So, last night I did a video on Courtney Williams and her dad, how they was talking about Caitlin Clark and how they killed every noise about the display about how Caitlin Clark is. Now, Lexie Brown, we already know her story. She's been on record from the beginning. Now has did a 180, just like Cheryl Swoops has, and talking about how Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are a championship team, are championship contenders. Caitlin Clark could go down as the best point guard ever to play the game. So, but Mariah Rose on her show Full Circle, she's been a little hater trying to display Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. But Lexie Brown shut all of that down. So we're going to take a listen because I love it.
This too long. First team we'll talk about is Indiana Fever. They were first in effective field goal percentage, second in pace, and sixth in net rating. New coach, Stephanie White, who came from the Connecticut Sun, and some notable personnel changes is the additions of Natasha Howard, Sophie Cunningham, Breonna Turner, DeWanna Bonner, and Sydney Colson. Thoughts, Mariah, about anything that I just said?
Well, we've talked in length about the Indiana Fever and what they did in the offseason, but I think they obviously are taking winning and capitalizing off of this Caitlin Clark moment they have going very seriously. And I feel like this is exactly how you're supposed to react to having a star like her. And they made the playoffs. She was Rookie of the Year. She had a great year. Like, this all makes sense. I'm excited for them. The coaching change, I think, is going to be really big. Poor Connecticut. They're in the East.
Yeah, we'll get
there
to them.
But yes, but I think that it's going to be really exciting. I'm not going to call them championship contenders or anything like that. But I think that it's going to be... You think that they're contenders?
Yes, I do. I'll tell you why.
Wait. Let's talk about this for a second. What do you think is... Okay, when I say championship contender, I mean, I would bet my own personal funds that they are going to win a championship. I guess contending means they could, but like, I think a contender is like, I would put you in there right now today. I think you will win.
Yes.
You think that?
I guess my contender means get to the finals. Yeah. I'll tell you why. So...
Yeah, get to the finals.
Yeah.
Get to the finals.
And I'll tell you why. I think that there was a lot of misconception about Caitlin Clark's overall game. I think that people got so caught up in her scoring that they didn't realize how good of a point guard she was in college. So I think that once all this...
Well, not to interrupt you, but she didn't get the opportunity to show that as much in college because she wasn't surrounded by as much talent.
But the plays that she was making still, despite all that, was like insane. But like people were so caught up in the logo threes and the 23-point attempts per game, which absolutely I understand that. Like it was so much fun to watch. But I always said she could potentially be one of the best point guards to ever play in the WNBA. And everyone was like, shut up, Lexie. And I was like, all right. Led the league in assists last year as a rookie, which is incredible. So I think after, they take the inventory of this season, you look at what you have, they said, we need to give her a more elite supporting cast and potentially not as many players that need to be spoon-fed buckets. So that's no disrespect to anybody that was on her team last year. Like, obviously, they made the playoffs. They'd had a great season. But you have a Natasha Howard and a DeWanna Bonner that can just straight up go get their own bucket. And they're huge. Okay. These are tall people. Okay, guys. I think they're both like 6'3" and 6'4", right? So matchup nightmare. Sophie Cunningham has been playing out of position in Phoenix for like 3 years. So she probably will get to go play the 3 again. She's a very underrated defender. And now you have very elite rim protection in Bree Turner. So now you go keep Aaliyah Boston out of foul trouble, which means she's going to be able to stay on the court. So do I think that they are a contender? Yes, I do. Then
All right, so you get to listen and hear what Lexie Brown had to say. Now, I'm going to push back on a little bit of something they said. Now, Lexie was correct in her analysis of Caitlin Clark. She said that everybody got caught up in college of her scoring in her logo threes. Then Mariah Rose said, well, she didn't get to show how good of a passer she was in college. Okay, Mariah, let me explain something to you. This is where stupidity over logic takes place. If you don't know, I have a t-shirt out with that, Logic Over Stupidity. Look, you could go ahead and look at it and check it out. But nevertheless, Caitlin Clark led the nation in assists 2 straight years. Regardless of what her teammates was, she still led the nation in assists, along with leading the nation in scoring. So how was she wasn't able to showcase her passing ability if she was leading the nation in college in assists for 2 straight seasons? Hold on, I'll wait. Exactly. Because the fact of the matter is, Mariah Rose, you don't know what you're talking about. You really haven't watched Caitlin Clark play. You probably just started watching Caitlin Clark play last year and just piggyback on some videos that you just seen. See, people that has been watching Caitlin Clark, has watching her game, understands what kind of level of player she is. Now, Lexie Brown, give her much credit because she's coming full circle and understanding the magnitude of Caitlin Clark. But nevertheless, Caitlin Clark did lead the league in assists, something that Courtney Williams displayed and talked about with her dad on her podcast last night. But nevertheless, you cannot think back in your mind that Caitlin Clark didn't do this in college. Y'all just seen it now because y'all was so caught up in her shooting threes. Y'all was so caught up in her scoring ability. But people that know her, watched her, know that she could pass. I do agree with Lexie. Caitlin Clark is the best passer in the game right now. I don't care what nobody says. She's the best passer in the game. She might not make passes look all flashy like that fraud over there in Vegas, but that's why the New York Post called Caitlin Clark the point goddess, not the point guard, the point goddess. And for Lexie Brown to say, hey, she could go down to one of the best point guards in the game. Well, I think she will be the best point guard in the game, because she led the league in assists. She most likely will lead the league in assists this year by a huge leap. She was averaging in the second half around about 8 point assists. I think she could average probably about 10 assists a game next year because she, like I said, she does have weapons. If you look at the roster last year and look at the roster this year, there's number buckets all over that roster. Nobody is going to miss bunnies. Nobody's going to miss wide open layups. You had the Christy Wallaces, the Erica Wheelers, the Katie Lou Samuelsons, and even Lexie Hall at some point. They was all missing point blank bunnies right under the rim. But this year, you're not gonna get that. You're not gonna have Christy Size handcuffing Caitlin Clark. You're not gonna have no stagnant half court offense. You're not going You're not going to cut people off your roster that you could have potentially used for defensive purposes down the stretch of the season. You're not going to have none of that buffoonery. You're going to have a coach that knows how to coach games and know how to utilize her players. And even though Stephanie White had one of the slowest teams in the league, but they ran pace with that team because they had certain pieces in place. This is all about making your roster and making your best player on your team even better than what she is. So, again, I'm going to give Lexie Brown a shout out because she had to set Mariah Rose straight. Because Mariah Rose, man, she's just out here talking. You see her on her post on X. She gets up there. She jumps on every little topic and don't even get the facts straight. She just talks. Sometimes it helps to have a podcast that you have facts and stats together so you understand. That's another cliche of mine. T-shirt in the description box. To understand what you're talking about. You just can't go out there to spit information just because a topic sounds good. You got to have everything in line. And Mariah Rose, for you to have a podcast the way you do, well, then again, same thing with Cheryl Swoops did, and you see what happens. Mariah Rose, don't fall victim to the nonsense. Get it together. Until the next episode, this is Live Wire Media, Sports Media, your Saturday Vibe, and you know what it is. I'm out.
Hey, so amazing. You see how they playing? Live Wire, it's all about sports and entertainment. You don't want to miss it, so official like you never seen. Keep it going till the whistle blowing from the referee. Everything from highlights and stats. You know that we gotta run it back, whether on the field or the court. You know that this is where it's at. Subscribe, no delaying. This is Live Wire, sports and entertainment. Let's go.